Hi everybody, it's Diana with Stamping with Di. Welcome to my YouTube channel and this week's Mimeograph Monday with a twist. And I had so much fun messing around with that Begonia Belle stamp set that is the product of the month for July. I thought it would be fun to do for my Mimeograph Monday with a twist. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Diana, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm in Santan Valley, Arizona. So welcome. So if you are new to my channel, I'm in the chat room during the video premiere, and I just hang out there with my friends, and we chit chat, and I can answer questions. If you are watching the replay though, and you have a question or a comment, just leave it below, and then YouTube will let me know, and then I can reach out to you. So we're just going to play with that today. Now, if you are new to my channel, Mimeograph Monday with a twist means I'm going to do 2 projects at least. And the first one is always Stampin' Up's sample. So my version of it, it might be a little bit different. Like today, I'm not for sure. Like I didn't have a recipe for this one, so I just kind of was going with what I thought was used. And then I'll do a second project where it's my twist. So this is a really fun series. And I suggest if you, you're like working on stuff and you kind of lose your mojo or whatever it's called, you can't come up with an idea, open up the catalog or go to my blog or my YouTube channel or anywhere and get some inspiration and then case something. And sometimes that will just kind of flip that switch that was stuck in your noggin and you can get out of that funk. So that's what I like to do with the Mimeograph Monday with a twist. I do Stampin' Up's version, and then I do a little different one that's more my style. So that's what we're going to do today. So close your eyes for a second while I get my camera adjusted. This is the Begonia Belle stamp set. This is the product of the month for July. So if you order $75 before tax and shipping in my store, you can grab this for $5. And then last week, I actually showed you, a couple of my real begonias. All right, that have not flowered. All right, so this is the card that I am going to case. So this is Stampin' Up's project, and then I'll do a twist on it. So we'll do this one first. And like I said, I don't know exactly what they used, so I'm just kind of guess what I think was used, and I think it came up close enough. All right, so I'm going to use the Valley and Bloom DSP because it looked like they used this or something that looked like it. So it was close enough for me. All right. Now what I want to do is I'm going to stamp my begonias. So I have strawberry slush and a garden green, and I have marked my stamps since Friday. Yeah, while I was stamping a couple of the cards, I had mixed up the one I was supposed to stamp first, so they looked a little weird. And after I had, uploaded the video or anything, then I realized, oh, I reversed those two. So what I did was I just put a little tiny Sharpie mark. So this is the first. So this is the one I go first. It's the lightest. And I did the same on the leaf. All right. So I'm going to use strawberry slush. And I'm going to use it for both of them. So let me get myself a little more straighter. Okay. So I have strawberry slush. I'm going to stamp it off. And then I'm going to come over here. And these are going to be fussy cut it out. Okay. And then I'm going to do another one because there's 2 flowers. Okay. So there we've got 2 strawberry slush that have been stamped off one time. Now I'm going to come over with the one that has the detail in it, or the top one. And I'm going to go full strength this time. And you can kind of tell where it needs to go, especially if I move it a little closer to my eyeballs. And just kind of give it a rub so it can soak into that paper. That looks much better, doesn't it? When you do the right order. And this is a two-step stamping. So by using the stamp off method, you can get that two-step look with one ink pad just by stamping it off first. So there's the second flower. Love it. All right, so let me close this. And then we're going to do our leaves. So I'm just going to do garden green. So just like before, I'm going to stamp off. So here's the first one. Now, garden green, I re-inked this one, so he's a little juicy. All right, so there's the first. Okay, there's the first. And then this one will be solid. So he's going to be fairly dark. Because like I said, I did ink him up recently. All right. So he looks, you know, pretty dark. But when it dries, it kind of soaks in and gets not quite as dark. All right, so I'm going to let these guys dry before I start cutting them out, because I am just going to fussy cut them. All right, so I'm just going to set them aside. Let them dry really good. So while they're drying, I have a piece of basic beige. And how much green do I have all over my hands? When I inked up my green pad, which is why he is so juicy, I got like ink all over. So every time I open that pad up, I am a mess. Oh! All right, so hopefully I don't get it all over. All right, so here we go. So this is just a basic beige as my card base. And then let me bring my grid sheet over. Because we're going to do some stamping on here, but it's going to come off the page a little bit, so I don't want to get it all over my desk. All right, so we're using, oop, that's crumb cake. Hold on a minute. I want the basic beige. We have basic beige. And we're just going to stamp a few of these little, they almost look like rain droplets, but we're just using them to put a little something something on the page. All right, and I had my crumb out. So while I have my crumb out, I have a little blending brush. And I'm just going to put a little bit of crumb on there. Just rub a little bit of it off on there. And I'm going to put a little crumb here and there on this card. So you're just kind of making your own pattern paper or whatever. All right. And then here is that cardstock that that designer series paper that we're going to use. And it's just going to get glued right on the card. I want to bring my grid sheet back. And I like to use the Now this is the grid sheet that goes with the Stampin' Positioner. So it's a perfect little size to go with your pierce mat. All right, so I'm just using the lines on the grid paper to help me line up this DSP so that it's straight. So I just use this line and this line, and it helps me keep it straight. All right, let's also get a little strip of paper. I always have little strips of paper. I have a little whatchamacallit on my desk. Look at that little guy. So I just put all my scraps in here. So I have tons of these little tiny pieces of paper, and it's from when I cut out cards. I always get like that little tiny, what would it be, 1/4 of an inch? And I just keep them in that little gravy boat thing because they're perfect for your greetings. All right, so I'm going to use Secret C. I love Secret C. It's nice and dark, but it's not black. All right, so I'm going to go, thank you for everything you do. That just gets stamped in the middle of that. Okay. And then I'll set that aside as well so it can dry. Okay. So I'm thinking that the flowers and the leaves should be dry enough for me to fussy cut them. And there's no die for this, which is, you know, fine. We don't need a die for everything, although it is handy. But by not having a die, you can just, you know, fussy cut them out very easy. I'm leaving a little white border. And if you don't have a die, if you'd like to fussy cut, and I do not mind fussy cutting, you can stamp stuff and cut things out wherever you go, right? You could be in the car, you could be watching TV, you could be sitting at a ball game, you name it. And just sit there and fussy cut to your heart's content. But with a die, you'd have to be taking your cut and emboss machine, which is, it's portable. It's got a handle on it. You can carry it around, but your little scissors are a little easier. So I'm just wiggling. So all you do is squeeze with your scissors, and with the other hand holding the paper, you just move the paper as you squeeze the scissors, and it makes it so easy to cut that out. Okay. And then our pretty leaves. So this is pretty cool because these really do look like begonia leaves because they have all those little dots. Like some of them have pink dots. Mine are like, one is gray and I think the other one is kind of like a green or like a silver. I don't know, but there's so many, like I was saying on Friday, there's so many different kinds and so many different color of the speckles, but they all kind of have that same look to them. It just depends on the shape of the leaf, basically. But anyways, but I love how they put the little circles on there, which totally make it look like a begonia leaf. I don't know if we've ever had a begonia as a stamp set. We probably have, and maybe I just, at that time, I did not own a begonia, so it just kind of went over my head a little bit, like what kind of flower it was, or plant, whatever. All right, so there. So like I said, I left a little bit of a white border around them, and then I'll toss all that stuff out. My phone is a bing bonging. Bing bong, bing bong. All right, so let's bring this over and put our card together. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of build my flower over here. So I have my glue dots. So I'm going to put a glue dot on this leaf. And then I'm going to tuck it because it goes kind of like here. Kind of goes there. And it's just kind of held loosely, right? It's just held loosely in place because when I put it on the card, I'm actually going to use dimensionals. So this is just, you know, getting my stuff in place. All right. And then this flower kind of goes like this, goes over top like that. Okay. So that's held in place. And then I'm going to get some dimensionals. Okay. So we're going to put this guy here. And I'm going to put these kind of towards the center so that I can stick the other leaf up underneath. Okay. So this guy's going to go like that because he kind of angles a little bit like that. All right, then we have this leaf. And it's going to go up underneath here. So I just put the glue dot here. So it's just going to kind of go up underneath here. And I'll just push and then it will stop. You know, it's stuck there. And then I have this leaf. And he's going to go like that. And then what I can do is I can lift these and put dimensionals underneath them. Because the glue dot is just kind of holding it in place. There. And then just kind of, you know, touch them and see if they're in good, you know, that they're good and secure there. Then we want our thank you for everything you do. And then that's going to go along here. So I'm going to put some green tip glue, which I put it away. Why didn't you put it away, Diana? You're not done with it. All right. So I'm going to put a little green tip glue and I'm just going to put it on the side because it will overhang this a little bit. And I'm just using this as my guide, that DSP and the edge. So it just goes like that. And what we can do is we could take our edge. Dog barking. So we'll take our edge and I'm going to lift that up. See that? Put your dimensional. And then it will be, you know, secure. And then I think I couldn't tell if they used sequins or these, and I chose to use these. So these are the pearlized faceted circles. A lot of times I don't get the sequins. So, and these kind of give the same look whether they use them or not. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So here is the first card. I love this. I love once I cut it out. Like Friday when I was messing around, it looked weird. Obviously I stamped the flower wrong, but just butting the leaves up, you know, and left it flat, it's not as breathtaking. It's not as impressive as this one. So this is pretty good. And then this is the one I did earlier. I did one ahead of time just to get my colors thinking I've got my colors right. So you could tell I put this one down lower, that one's a little higher, but it's basically the same card. All right, so I'm gonna clean up my mess, and then we're gonna go and do my twist. For my twist, I picked different designer series paper. So I'm picking the Floral Charm. And I'm doing Everyday Arches. And this is the Floral Charm DSP that I picked. I also am using Hydrangea Hue for my card base. All right, I'm just going to set those off to the side for a second. All right, let me do my flower and leaves. All right, so my flower is going to be Hydrangea Hue. So I have my Hydrangea Hue. I can hardly wait till we get magnetic pads for all our colors. They are just so easy to open. All right, so I have my Hydrangea Hue. And boom, it's closed. All right, and then I have Blueberry Bushel. Not that they're not hard to open, but I mean, I just kind of like, I kind of like that quick flip. And I love that they're the linen style pad. All right, and then I have my top piece. I love these two colors together. I played around with some different colors. Look at how cool that looks. Oh my gosh. I played around with some different colors. So I thought I was going to do like a black and gray card. So this was smoky slate and basic gray. And it looks kind of cool, but then I was like, no. And then I was like, well, what if I went azure? So this is azure and blueberry. And then I'm like, well, what if I do Highland? And that was it. As soon as I did the Highland with the blueberries, like, yes, yes, yes. All right. So while I have my bushel open, let me just stamp my greeting on here. And I'm going to do the different greeting. I'm going to do the You Are My Sunshine on my arch. I just love that. The writing and the printing, and it's such a pretty font. All right, let's see. On the inside of the card, so I'm just kind of doing it. I'm kind of bopping all over the place, but this way I can put my cards or my ink pads away. All right, so the DSP, I'm going to put it on the edge this time. Usually I put it along the bottom, but I'm going to put it along the edge. I'll just trim that piece off. Okay. And I want to make sure, okay, that one goes with that. I've already made that mistake last week, right? We don't want to do it again. All right. So then I have my Hydrangea Hue. So I'm going to put a flower on the inside of the card that will match the outside. Blueberry Bushel is such a pretty blue. Okay. Gorgeous. All right, let me close this before I mess it up. And I want my long greeting. So the greeting I used on the first card, I'm going to put on the inside. And that says, thank you for everything you do. I'm just going to put it down here. Okay. So I'll just set that aside. Okay. I think I'm done with the flower. Let me do the leaves now. All right. So I have my piece of paper back. I'm going to do the lemon lime twist. I loved the look of that when I was messing around on Friday. All right, so we have lemon lime twist. And I'm going to fussy cut these out again. They don't take that long. So lemon lime twist. I'm just kind of moving it all around the pad. That way you don't, if you just always stamp in the center, then all the ink comes out of the center. So try to stamp around the pad. All right. And then I'm going to go Peaceful Pine for my dark. Make sure you can see. Okay. So I'm going to let these dry like I did before. I'll just kind of cut away some of that paper that catches on the scissors when you're cutting them out. So while that's drying, we can put some of our card together. All right, so I have my Hydrangea Hue, which is such a pretty color. It does not come across as pretty as it is and as truthful as it is on my camera. I don't know why, but it just does not. It looks more blue than purple, and in real life it has more of a purple hue than blue. All right, and then I have this paper on here, so the same that I put on the inside. And this is such a pretty paper. It's just kind of like it's like that. You can see the flowers and the leaves in there, but it's like it's almost like a negative or something. It's, I don't know. It's very, very cool looking. All right, so let's put this on there. Whoop. Okay. We'll put our inside, and then we can get our front, our flowers cut out and get the card done. I also used a different bling. Oh, love it. All right. So we're going to stick this on the front of the card with some dimensionals. I grabbed the little baby ones, so that will take me 15 minutes to get them on there. Right? All right, so that goes here, kind of in the center, like all the way around. Let's cut out our flower and our leaves. And just like before, I'm going to leave a white border around it. So this is pretty cool. So this would be the perfect stamp set to sit with your basic white cardstock and just a bunch of different ink colors and make yourself like a master. Like I have a book that I have, my blends, the colors that work well together. And it's kind of like I refer back to it if I can't remember what goes. So this would be perfect just because it's quick and you could just sit there. And now I would stamp them on like scrap paper first before I did it on the basic white, because if it doesn't work, you know, you don't want to waste that basic white. But just, you know, do it on like maybe copy paper or something, just to see if the color combination is like what you think you want it to be. And then you could really, you know, stamp it, you know, on the paper that you're going to keep in your reference book. And I have this right here, and it's just a sketchbook, so you can, you know, do it right in there. But I have like, you know, I keep my little mini masterpieces and how I colored them and the month. This is, you know, the colors, the blends that go together, and you know, what have you. So it's just kind of like this book that I refer back to. I just cut these out and stuck them on there, but you could do the same kind of thing. Or you could maybe, now this paper is a little bit different, so it might take the color different if you were to stamp on it directly. That's why I usually stamp on the basic white and then I trim it and I just glue it in the book. But that's like my reference book. I have filled up one of those already. I think I have that particular one on my Amazon, my favorite things shopping thing. But, and they get kind of pudgy and fat, you know, when you're starting to get, because you're gluing paper in there, you're just not keeping the paper as it is. So I think my original one that I have that I've already filled, it like sits funny, right? Like it almost fits like this. It won't close like that because there's like so much paper in it, but that's fine. It's still, I still refer back to it. All right. Okay, so we have our whatchamacallit going on here. So I'm going to put my flower on first, and I've got my dimensionals. And then we'll just stick the leaves up. Now I'm putting them towards the center so that I can stick those leaves around. Okay, so we have our pretty flower. It's going to go right there. And that would be gorgeous just like that, right? But we're going to put some leaves, of course. All right, so I'm going to put, this leaf will go here. So I'm going to take a dimensional, stick it here, and then I'm going to stick that leaf up underneath the flower there. And that is pretty good. All right, so I'm going to put another one over here. Let's see, before I peel that off, I'm just going to stick this up underneath here. And then I can see that I can put another one here. And I kind of like seeing this little dip. So I'm going to have it so I see that, you know, because that's kind of like a look, you know, of that begonia. All right, and then this one, I'm just going to have it be like that. So I'm going to actually lift this so that my dimensional won't stick out as much. And then I'm kind of hiding. I'm going to hide the dip on this one just because of the angle. All right, but that's that. And then the bling that I picked this time is the antique pearls. So I'm just going to plop a few around. So one, and this one has 3 different sizes, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I really went to town with the bling on that one. All right. So there is that one is Stampin' Up's version. And you can see this on my store. If you if you search for Begonia, then the Begonia Belle comes up and you can see other samples, but that's where you'll find this one, at least as close to how I think it was. And then here is my twist. So I really changed it. Like sometimes I stick, you know, pretty close to the layout. Maybe I'll change the colors a lot. But I really wanted to play with the Begonia in the colors and everything. And I was actually like gonna do something similar. And then I was searching around for because I have a whole bunch of die cuts. So like I have that you know, I have that other little one that shows that I have pieces in. This has die cuts in. That other one just has plain paper. So I was just kind of like looking through here, and then I found a couple of the little arches, and it had been a while since I have used the arch, and I thought, okay, well, I'll just stamp the little greeting on there and then see how it looks. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is perfect. So that's how that came up. So accidents or whatever, it doesn't always have to be planned, but I love how these cards turned out. All right, so let me say, see you later, alligator. So hopefully this will make you go, you know what, I need that set. Because these can be any color, especially here, because the basic beige is so basic, beige. And so this flower can be any color. I mean, let's see, you could, I mean, even the blue. I mean, it doesn't have to be, I mean, pink looks really good with it, but with that basic beige, it kind of goes with everything. And it's kind of a funny color. When you mix it with other colors, it takes on like a different hue almost. So just play around with that. All right, so I'm going to let you go. I will see you tomorrow for my Teach Me Tuesdays, and that will be 3 o'clock Arizona time, same channel. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, bye for now.